Hello there, this is Rom Wills, and I'm back at you again with yet another video. Today, I'm going to go a little bit away from something that just touches just the lives of black men. This is something universal, something that touches the lives of men all over the world. It's a very serious issue. Today, I'm going to talk about the evil of paternity fraud. Let me let you know why I'm talking about this. You know, just this past week, my son had his 14th birthday, my oldest son. And one of the pleasures I just get through life, one of the things that just keep me going is just providing for my sons, just leading them, just raising them to manhood. And just the feeling I get. I mean, they test me. They test me. Any father with sons, you know, preteen and then teenage sons, they know you get tested, but there's a part of you, like, no matter what, they still your boys, and it's like you know, you just have love for them, right? And you know, and that's not just for men with sons, but also men with daughters as well, right? One of the things I've seen in life is those men who got those little princesses. I mean, I've known some dudes who are straight up put a bullet between your eyes, rough and tumble gangsters. Yeah, when that baby girl tell him, Daddy, I want to play Tea Party, those little rough and tumble men, they sit in those little chairs and be like clanking that tea thing. And I've yet to see that fail. Some little baby girl got this rough and tumble man who scared the shit out of other men with you know, him wrapped around her little chubby fingers. And you know, just before I even go on, I want to say something, because before any detractor come up talk about, like, what about the deadbeats? I don't have any sympathy for deadbeat men. Any man who doesn't take care of his children or is not involved in his children's lives, regardless of the relationship with the mother, is not a man in my opinion. And for those who subscribe to different religious beliefs, they will not be blessed. I have no sympathy for them. And that's all. No, I'm talking about men who actively want to be in their children's lives, who are proud of their children. Now, there's a little problem with all of this. Okay, so a man, he's probably raising his sons and daughters, and you know, he's bonded, he's playing with them, playing either, you know, throwing a football with them, or you know, letting their daughter like paint their nails or something. And yeah, y'all rough and tumble men know baby girl not only got you doing the tea party but some other stuff too, but you know, that's your baby girl. Hey, you know, despite all that, we have a real problem that's really not talked about, and that's paternity fraud. I mean, we see those shows like, you know, the infamous Maury show with you know, you are not the father, or you are the father, or something like that. And then a show I like to watch, Lauren Lake's Paternity Court, though I probably watch it more for Lauren Lake. Yeah, no disrespect to her husband, but probably watch it more for that. But anyway, you know, it's kind of interesting that paternity fraud and just the question of paternity has gotten so bad, it's become a major business. I mean, if we talk about stats now, I was looking for stats before I was doing this video, and I'm gonna be honest, there's so many to choose from, to be honest, so many different groups and whatever. You just had to put it in a search engine. Now, the general consensus is that in cases where the paternity is tested and where the paternity is in question, up to 30% of the time, the man is not the father. The man listed on a birth certificate is not the father. Up to 30%. And those are just in cases where it's been tested. You got to think, how often is somebody just, you know, they might have some suspicions and they just say, you know what, I'm too attached, this is my child. Or they just don't test anyway. You know, that child look enough like the father or something. It's like, you know, that's my child. You know, that's what they thinking. As a wise old woman told me once, you feed a child enough, it start looking like you. But we talking, stats saying up to 30%. I'm gonna tell you what. The whole concept behind paternity fraud is evil. It's evil. It's an intentional, not just even a fraud thing, but just intentionally breaking somebody's trust. See, it's well established that women have maternal instincts. It's well established, but what's not talked about as much because there's so much of focus on deadbeats and men not taking care of the responsibility that really most men who are fathers, yes, they want to be there. And when a woman, a man's with a woman, she says she pregnant, and he at least think he the father. A normal man is going to be like just proud. That's his legacy. That's his legacy. That's something he helped create. Despite what women like to think, they don't create babies by themselves. So that's come from him. And he feels good. He feels good. He's like it's gonna be like a little him running around. Whether it's a boy or a girl. His legacy will be in the future. Most normal men want to have children. And here's the thing, and is that whole statement about mama's baby, papa's maybe. A man has to trust that that woman's actually carrying his baby. See, a woman knows. There's no doubt. A woman is 100% sure a baby is hers. Think about it. Like 99.9, 100%. A woman know that child once it come out is hers. But the man never really knows, so he is trusting that that child is his. And his paternal instinct clicking in. He thinking about how he gonna protect this child. I mean, I've seen some men, they will actually change their lives around because they think they having a child. And it's part of us. It's a part, that whole paternal instinct is a part of man. Even some men who don't have children. Those are men who might volunteer in the community to mentor young men and little girls. They the ones who will take up time with children. Those are ones who like in religious institutions, they volunteer for Sunday school or whatever type of class. That is gonna come out. And see that the fraud of it is just a violation of trust. Cause think about it. Think about it. A woman knows. A woman knows that there's a possibility that some man she's dealing with might not be the father of the child. In fact, and I'm gonna go a bit further, and this is purely anecdotal. I've met several women who could tell you the exact place where they conceived a child, like to the point, to the room. I mean, my son's mother, she can tell you exactly where each son was conceived in the exact moment. And I've heard other women say that too about their children. I've heard women say that their mothers knew. And, men and women that say, yeah, their mothers knew where they were conceived at. So most women have an idea whether or not a man is the father. But then what happens? A lot of times a women might, they had an affair or something like that, or they had sex with two men close to the same point. So they playing Russian roulette. They might hope, they know one was just a fling, and they might hope the other one is the father. And some women do have enough character just to let the man know. It's like, look, there's a possibility you ain't the father, but that's not a lot. And that's what we get on these shows. That's why paternity testing is so rampant. Because a lot of women just won't say anything. And, it could be shame. And another basic reason, I'm going to put this out here. And I want a woman to tell me otherwise. I'm going to challenge any women listening to this who are familiar with this situation and tell me otherwise. I seriously think, Ron Wills, first of all, women know whose baby they carrying, but they also know who ain't going to be a father. Because like I said, like it or not, there are those deadbeats out there. And there's some dudes who, quite frankly, don't have any value beyond their sperm. But here's the thing. Here's the thing: the woman, she already know. Okay, this Bama no good. This Bama ain't gonna do anything. But this dude over here, he'll make a good father. So what she do? She'll go up and say, well, yeah, this your baby. In fact, and I'm gonna tell y'all some old cold blooded street game. A lot of women, they'll know that they probably carrying one man's baby, but he's no good. Will purposely have sex with a guy who got some money or something like that, who would make a good father. And it's some cold blooded shit, but it happens. And really, you see it a lot on. I mean, you see it on the TV shows because the women say, "I want this guy to be the father. Can't stand the other one." But it happens a lot. In fact, nah, I ain't gonna tell that story. I have a lawsuit on my hand. Anyway, so and I'm just getting back to it. And see, I want you to think about, women need to think about one other thing. These men, their paternal instincts click in. They become invested in that boy or girl. They become invested in that children. And everybody doesn't go get paternity tests because that those children might have just enough just to make the father think it's theirs. And and that's possible because a lot of women, they tend to have sex with the same type of man anyway. So it's possible to have sex with somebody who looks enough like the father, or the presumptive father. But see, then things happen years later that, some emergency, there needs to be some type of blood test and some, and then, the doctor coming back, he was like, you know what, you ain't the father. And, that devastates a man. And that's just the ultimate, that's just the ultimate betrayal in a man's eyes. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to get deep with y'all. Here's one thing, women especially don't understand about men, and even some men don't understand, and that's the issue of boundaries. The key to understanding a normal man is that a normal man has boundaries, and it's just is an invisible boundary, but it's something that a man through his masculine energy sets up. Now, the most simple boundary is just his personal space. This usually extends roughly 3 feet out from his body or something. That's why a lot of men, that's where there are some men, if you get too close to them or something, they ready to fight you. Or they bristling and stuff because they want you to back the fuck out of their boundary. And a man, that's his simplest boundary, is his personal space, but then there's more boundaries that come in. There's a boundary, where he might work. There's a boundary if he plays sports. There's a boundary with with any social group that he's in with men. Several men join together, they create a circle or something based on those boundaries. Some of the great and infamous groups in history were just men's, like greater men's boundaries. The samurai, that was a boundary. The Lakota Sioux, those were boundaries. The Ashanti man of Ghana, that was a boundary. The Nazis, that was a very efficient boundary. Street gangs are boundaries. Secret societies are men's boundaries. One of the things women have to understand is that most women aren't a part of a man's boundary, even if they're married to the man. Most women at best are somebody who's a man allows to cross his boundary, because women by nature cross a man's boundary without thinking about it. At best, most women are somebody he allows to cross that boundary, but she may not be a part of his boundary. Because quite frankly, if a woman is a part of a man's boundary, it's nothing he wouldn't do for her. And he also, there's no, there's a lot of talk about domestic violence is a very real issue. If a woman was a part of a man's boundary, he wouldn't put his hands on her because she's a part of him. And that's a lot of times when women decide that they want to be, independent, Miss Independent and stuff, it gets to the point where they just even if they're married to a man, they're just sharing his space, but they're not a part of his boundary. Now, what this got to do with paternity fraud. When a man believes that a child is his, that child becomes a part of his boundary. That's a part of him. That man, as long as he feel like that child is a part of his boundary, he will do anything for that child. He will sacrifice for that child. He will work hard for that child. But then it's a breach of trust when you find out that child isn't his. That's why a man. That's why you'll see it on these paternity shows. You know, man could be raising a child for 4 years or something, and then find out it's not his, and he's like, "I'm out," just like that. And see, people will say, "Well, you raised it for 4 years, did all that, you got close." It's not a part of the boundary. That boundary is more important than anything to a man, and it's sometimes men aren't conscious of it. And that's why in a man's eyes, that paternity fraud is evil. That's why a lot of times, and you get some old Southern families especially, some old school Southern families, and this go across races, and probably any rural place on the planet. When that woman has that baby, the first thing they looking for is those features. they looking. It's like they might do it in rich communities too. They looking at those features because that's very important. That's very important to a man. Now, like I said, why I'm talking about that? Well, just to let you know before anybody puts something stupid in the comments, I don't worry about my sons. I don't worry about my sons being mine because they, as someone who saw the three of us together, they were like triplets. And plus, the oldest one, well, the youngest one is like a clone of me, and the oldest one, he's like a combination of me and his mother. And he got some habits I had. I'm saying stuff to him that my grandmother was saying to him. I was like, damn, I'm sounding like my grandmother talking. And that's cool. But see, just the feeling there, man, it's really just a great thing. It's a great thing, and it would devastate me if to find out otherwise. And when I thought about that too. I said, damn, man, what about all these men who are just so close to their children? I mean, I've known men who said, I knew one guy, right? He didn't really want nothing to do with the baby's mother, right? But he was just so connected to his daughter. He actually stayed with the baby's mother, even though they slept in several rooms and barely interacted. Because his whole thing was he just wanted to be there for his daughter. I've known men who, they'll move, they'll do whatever sacrifice. That's because these children are a part of their boundaries. Now, you find out that woman, lied to you. That's the worst thing, because think about it. That's a violation of trust. Sometimes violating trust is more than anything. Even when, and for a woman to understand it, think about it. If your man cheats on you with your best friend or something like that, what's the thing you mad about? That he cheated with your best friend or that he violated that trust? So for the women, think about that. Think about that as I'm talking. A man has to trust. We really don't know. We trusting that child is ours. We trusting it, and it's evil. Whenever trust is violated, that devastates men. Some men get devastated. And women have to understand that. And a lot of women complain about men doing this, that, and the third, being deadbeats, doing whatever. And they have legitimate arguments. But understand, paternity fraud to us is just as evil. And it is not just finding out a child's not ours, but then lying to us and saying a child is ours. Because what happens? We putting that child in our boundary, and it's not for the right reasons. So that's all I had to say about that. I didn't want to get too much into it. I just had to get my 2 cents on it. That whole thing. I'm just I feel for all the men out there who've experienced that. Seriously, my heart goes out to them. And like I said at the beginning of this video, usually I talk about issues pertaining to black men, but this is something that is shared by men all over the world, regardless of race, nationality, religious creed. Just that feeling, that whole mama's baby, papa's maybe. That's some that's some like just some fucked up shit. Okay, so that's just evil. So that's all I gotta say about that. Talk to y'all later. Peace.